Today and tomorrow, we're going to get really practical about what it looks like to grow in our patience. But before we talk about growing in our patience, we should look at what causes impatience. And as near as I can tell, impatience really starts with a fear. It's a fear of losing something. Specifically, impatience is fear of losing your time. You're afraid that someone or something is taking your time away from you, and because of that fear, you react with anger or something else. Impatience is when you're afraid that your time is being taken away from you. Now, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but the best way to grow in patience is not to find more time. It's actually to be more intentional about giving your time away. What we're going to see today is that the first and best way to grow in patience is to give your time away to God Himself. We're going to see an example of what it looks like to do that in real time. We're going to see a story here from two sisters named Mary and Martha. One day they invited Jesus and His friends to come over to their house, and along with that would have included a meal and other preparations that were necessary for a large group of men. And so as Mary and Martha are making preparations, they're getting things set, something happens that makes Martha very impatient. It's recorded for us in Luke chapter 10. As Jesus and His disciples were on their way, they came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to them. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what He said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to Jesus and said, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." Martha was so focused on everything she did. What she was doing was making her grow impatient. But Mary, what she was doing was making her grow more patient. Because of what Martha was focused on, she was so focused on her tasks. She was so focused on what she had to do. She grew so angry at Mary because Mary wasn't lifting a finger to help her. But what we see is that the way Martha spent her time made her feel like she was losing it. The way Mary spent her time could never be taken away from her. What does that look like for you? I know that there's all sorts of things in life that are pulling for your attention and your time, and it's easy to grow impatient. But it's important every day to set aside time to give to God. And what I want you to know is that when you give that time to God, you're not losing that time. Time spent with God will never be taken away from you. Time with Him will help you see life differently. In fact, as you spend time with God, it'll make your patience grow, because for that moment, you'll be taken out of the frantic pace of your life. You'll be given new eyes to see eternity and the eternal home that God has for you. You get to rest in all that God has done. And when you take that time and you give it to God, that will never be taken from you. So I'm going to challenge you today. If you spend time with God regularly in prayer and devotion, keep it up. Maybe there's room to grow though. Today, as you think about your time with God, what time could you give Him? What would it look like for you to spend a little extra time with God today, knowing that the time you spend with Him will never be taken away?
Did you enjoy this video? Well, we would love to share with you so much more. Just click here.